The name of the book is The Adventures of Captain Pels. Jon D. Pels is with us. He's the author. He's got a great story about his kids and coming up with a story. And who hasn't been there? Even if you're not a parent, if you're an aunt, if you're somebody who's babysitting, you know what it's like when you're asked to come up with stories. Jon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
So let's talk about the road to writing this book. Why'd you write this book?
So it's a bit of a long story, but it's a good story, at least I think so. Years ago, when we started having kids, this would be late '97, we were very concerned about social media. I should say my wife, Paula, was very concerned about social media. It was new. I don't think any of us had cell phones back then, but as we turned into the 2000s, it was prominent. So there was a movie called Finding Nemo that I think everybody's heard of. It's a great movie. I have since seen it, but my wife didn't even want kids seeing movies at really young age. It's just based on what she had read. We wanted to read to them and focus on that. My oldest daughter was a little sad she couldn't see Finding Nemo. She was still very young at the time, but she knew what it was from her classmates. So I made up a story, and it was actually called Captain Nemo. And it was designed to try to, interact with them at night. And I remember when I told her the name was Captain Nemo, she got a big smile on her face as a young girl. So that's how it started.
And for you, we should say, because you have such an interesting background, you mentioned your wife, and you met in law school, from what I understand, and you've been a lawyer for, over 30 years, a trial lawyer. So I think you have the gift of gab and storytelling. So was it easy to be pressed into coming up with stories?
It was. I've been practicing litigating almost 30 years now. We have 5 kids, just by the way. Our youngest is now 16, and they've all done phenomenally well. But I got pressed into action to tell stories. When we started, we didn't. I started my law firm when Paula was pregnant with our oldest, Kirsten, and we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. So we would save and go down to Rehoboth Beach in Delaware for one precious week of vacation a year, and we'd cram all of us into 2 bedrooms, including my parents. So my parents and 4 of our kids would stay in one bedroom, and Paula and our youngest guy, Ryan, and I would stay in the other bedroom. And I was trying to find a way to prolong that beach experience, because we all loved it. We looked forward to it all year, but it was only 1 week back then. It's all we could really afford. And that's how what is now called Captain Pels came about.
So tell us about Captain Pels. What's the story about?
Well, first of all, it's called Captain Pels because I didn't want to get sued for copyright. It was originally called Captain Nemo, so that's the transition there. And on that, I was not very creative. I said, "What the heck? I'll just call it Captain Pels." So it's basically about a seemingly normal family, our family that is kind of in charge of defending the beach town from an onslaught of pirates. And the pirates, much like Captain Pels, is in disguise. They do, they look it looks, like a regular oil rig out there, but they're actually pirates. And the children of Captain Pels each has a unique talent that they need to discover to help assist Captain Pels. And when they reach a certain age, they are learning of their gift, and everybody has one.
How cool is that? What does your family think of this book?
Well, it's funny. It started out as a bedtime story where I would go in and I used our kids' middle names. So, the opening line, I think, is Victoria. Victoria, are you awake? And they loved it. And I took the step of actually typing it up in the early 2000s because they liked it so much. And I pulled, photos or pictures from the internet to kind of give it a book. And I stapled it and showed it to them when they were young, and they loved it and forgot about it. And it's been, 20 years since then. And my wife was cleaning last year and found it in a drawer, and we decided to try to get it published, and here we are.
What do you hope people take away from reading your book to their kids? I can see this as giving this as gifts, etc. What do you hope the outcome is?
Well, there's a couple things about it. Again, first, every person has a talent that they can share that's unique to them, and you got to find out what that is. That's the first. The second is you see how even our so-called enemies, have good in them, and you'll see that develop throughout the story where one of the pirates ends up helping and saving the family. So those are the two things, and the third, of course, is to read and stay off of the social media. Reading is still such a great gift.
Oh, I so agree with that. Jon Pels, you can pick up this wonderful story, The Adventures of Captain Pels. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever great books are sold. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much, Kate.